Hi, I'm Maggie Greenfield. Welcome to part 3 of the virtual amazing Bronx River Flotilla. Today we're going to explore the estuary portion of the river. We have guides and they're going to take you on a tour and show you how we are transforming polluted lots into beautiful waterfront parks. We have made so much progress, but we still have so much work to do to make the Bronx River Greenway a continuous series of parks and trails along the river. So click the link in the description in the chat and show your support for our work to complete the Bronx River Greenway as a complete series of waterfront parks and trails along the full length of the Bronx River.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonah Garnick. I'm the Greenway Manager at the Bronx River Alliance. I manage the Greenway program, and my job is to make sure that Bronx communities and the Bronx River has a stake in reclaiming the waterfront and building out the Greenway.
Hi, I'm Tuhira Khan. I'm the co-chair of the Greenway team at the Bronx River Alliance. We advocate for the expansion of the Greenway along the 23 miles of the Bronx River so cyclists and pedestrians can access the waterfront all the way up to the river's northernmost point.
Hello, my name is Edmundo. I'm a born and raised Bronx resident. I've been living by this portion of the river for over 30 years. I believe that it's important for community members and organizations to not only support each other but work together, and that's why I'm a volunteer at the Bronx River Alliance.
It's like, yo, this is where I live. Like, holy, like, it's crazy. It definitely makes you feel different. Like, just look at this view right now. If you take a still shot and just send it to somebody and I'll give you 5 guesses, how many people say South Bronx,
0. You spent a lot of years on this river.
Well, around the river, not so much on it.
True that.
The last few years I've gotten on it, thanks to all the work that's being done.
Yeah.
But yeah, around it, oh man, so many years around it, so many years in Starlight Park. I was in Concrete Plant Park before it was a park. I would have never thought I'd be kayaking on the river now, though.
There's going to be, as part of Starlight Park Phase 2, on the left over here, that's all going to be transformed. And part of the new facilities will include a dog park, a lot of different trails. It's going to be ADA accessible, but the most important thing is the addition of 2 bridges. So, as both of you know, from personal experience, especially you, Mundo, living in the neighborhood, you got to walk over a mile right now to get into the park if you live on Bronx River Avenue.
Yes.
That's the amazing thing about that park and a lot of the work around the Greenway is that it's really been a team effort. It hasn't just been the Alliance. I mean, the Alliance has definitely played a big role, but it really is an alliance, and that's our namesake. It's working with organizations like Youth Ministries for Peace and Justice. It's working with The Point. It's working with
community members.
Just one-off local leaders.
Everyone.
It's everybody.
Yeah.
It's really a team effort.
I agree.
So the bridge right here is actually pretty historic. It's still used by the Northeast Regional Amtrak line, but these bridges, it's called a bastule bridge. These bridges aren't really built anymore. I think this was built in the early 20th century, but you don't really see them anymore, and that's why in the new Starlight Park we actually have a fun sign telling visitors about the history of the bridge, because it is kind of a unique urban infrastructure element.
Yeah.
And you'll see that it contrasts pretty dramatically to the new green infrastructure and the new natural environment that's been reestablished.
Believe it or not, crazy story, I was one of the people when they was talking about Apex leaving and turning this to a park. This is to show you how people change and learn and relies on education. I was one of the people that was against this. Because I was like, yo, Apex Auto Parts is a safety for me. Like, I know no one's going to jump in through my back window because the junkyard's back there with all the crazy, vicious dogs. Now you're going to have a park. How are you going to provide security? How are you going to ensure safety? Who's going to watch that?
What made you change your mind?
I started getting involved with TA for cycling purposes.
Transportation alternative.
Yeah, transportation alternative, because I was just tired of all the bike lanes and stuff being in Brooklyn and Manhattan.
Yeah.
And then people like Laura Solis was like, they started educating me, and I started learning more people, learning about more causes and getting introduced to more people. And then that just turned into, like, from cycling advocacy turned to group rides. So just kind of working with TA, doing that advocacy, started leading me into other groups. That's how I learned the Alliance. That's how I learned the YMPJ.
It's fantastic to get this close of a view, though.
I'm really looking forward to it, because now I literally have to walk 6 houses down and I'm inside Starlight Park. Like, how awesome is that?
All of Starlight Park had a master plan to it, but it got split into 2 different phases because of funding. You know, State DOT was kind of the big leader on the first phase of the project, and then the recession hit in 07, and that's when kind of funding got yanked for the latter half. So, you know, the Alliance worked with partners, worked with the Greenway team to find funders to finish the second half of the project, and because of that, it's split into 3 different stages. So stage 1 is over here. As you can see, it's kind of the furthest along. And this was primarily funded by a National Fish and Wildlife Foundation $4.4 million grant. And so a big focus of that project is wetland restoration. So you'll see the grasses coming in, the plants were picked in a very specific way to facilitate a healthy floodplain, be a home to waterfowl and fish and other aquatic wildlife. And then also there's going to be a really critical piece of Greenway that creates access on Westchester Avenue into the park. And so that means that right now it's kind of tricky to get from County Fair Plant Park to Starlight, and your Sheridan Boulevard helps, but it's not purely in a park. And so this will create that access. So then on the other side here, and you know, Mundo, you were absolutely right to say that this was the Apex, but that was another lot called the Marshall Lot.
Yeah.
It was also an industrial lot.
Yeah.
And so the city had to purchase these 2 pieces of land to then convert it to parkland. So this other piece, this is all part of stage 2. And stage 2 is the biggest piece of the project, where this entire Apex lot is being converted into additional parkland. And then the critical piece are the additional access points, so at Colgate Avenue and at 172nd Street, and then the 2 bridges. So you can see them over here in the stage 1 lot working on the bridge abutment. So bridge is going to go from there over the river to the other side here, and that will allow bikers to kind of go over the river, go up along the Amtrak line, and then the second bridge goes over the Amtrak line into the eastern bank of Starlight. And you know, it's kind of funny with the way the timing works out with these projects, but stage 3 was that bridge that we launched from, right over the portage at Starlight Park, and that was built by the State Department of Transportation as part of the Sheridan Boulevard construction project. So, you know, once this is all completed, it's amazing because you'll have this beautiful, protected bikeway, pedestrian walkway, and park to get you from our existing network down at Concrete all the way up to East 177th Street.
I mean, yeah, definitely there was a moment where it was not certain that this was all going to happen, and thankfully that funding came in. It really is a testament, I think, to the fortitude of the Bronx River Alliance and their commitment to this community in the Bronx River.
So beautiful. And when I was young, we always used to say, man, this place would be perfect for a park. So I always thought that this would make a great park or like a community center. Because right here, you literally connect 3 neighborhoods. You connect Bronx River, you connect Hunts Point, and Southern Boulevard. This is my first time coming under this bridge. I used to walk this bridge so much with my mom. Oh man, before that gate was even there. Wow. This is wild.
I think that most of your life, most of your childhood can be mapped along this river.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Which is why I don't want to leave.
Yeah.
Like when I was young, I was like, I can't wait to get out the hood.
Yeah.
Now I'm like, I don't want to leave.
A reason to stay, right?
I want to stay here as long as I possibly can.
Yeah, I agree. So it wasn't until I graduated in 2010 that I moved back here and then started volunteering. I think by 2013, 2014, I met Claudia in 2014, and then I became really active with the Bronx River Alliance. And so my experience with the river really started through volunteering with the Bronx River Alliance. When most of what you know about it, it's you know, historically a very polluted river, you know, where a dumping ground essentially, right? But there's, you know, from what I'm hearing from you, there's so much to life along the Bronx River previously, right? The fact that Starlight Park also was an amusement park, right? And there was a swimming pool there, right? And so it was a summer destination, and in many ways I think the efforts today are to make it that again, right? To have people come back to the river and to be on it, be along it, and to create stories like that.
Right about here where you see that old catenary,
Yeah.
that's where a really old railroad station is.
It's beautiful.
It's gorgeous. It's
Yeah.
designed by Cass Gilbert, who was the architect that designed the Woolworth building.
Mm-hmm.
And he made a series of railroad stations along this line going up the Bronx River, and I think it goes into Connecticut.
Yes.
But our dream is to, you know, that station sits abandoned, but, you know, a lot of the mosaic tiles are still intact.
Yeah. It's very grand.
It's amazing. It's small, but it's beautiful, and we would love to convert that into some sort of park house, and have it as a, you know, community access point to have a grander entrance for Concrete Plant Park. And then one of the plans, you know, there's several options. We worked with this amazing architecture group who's done a lot of good work with us, SLO Architects. One of their ideas is to move the actual waiting room and pick it up and bring it over the water as an additional boathouse.
Yep.
And so that would mean additional water access here, and potentially have a rowing club or just more of our capacity doing, you know, kayaking and canoeing in the river. But, you know, more importantly, having just like a really nice park house.
Yeah.
And a nice facility for maybe a community cafe.
Beautiful Concrete Park, my favorite place in the Bronx. This was an abandoned space, and this was the Bronx in the 80s, so anyone who knows or remembers that, it was a very difficult time for community members, and a bunch of young people like David Shuffler that we mentioned earlier, and groups like a bunch of grassroots organizations got together and really fought to convert this into a park. This is the home of the first publicly grown edible garden in all of New York City, the Foodway. It's the first of its kind. We're hoping that other parks, boroughs, and places can get something similar to what we got going here. You know, shout out to Nathan for keeping that space beautiful, busy, and organized. You heard about the connection, right, to Garrison Park, too? How we're gonna have it from here. There's gonna be an entrance under the
Under the bridge, right?
and you'll be able to.
Goes over to the
they're
other
gonna create
side.
Garrison Park.
Yeah.
And then we'll have access to Hunts Point without having to cross that
Cross
treacherous
the-
stretch. And then you'll be able to access Garrison Park, Hunts Point, Riverside Park.
Yep.
So that's gonna be really, really dope. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to
The
that.
work has started. The Garrison Park piece is a really nice little park as well. And that's a piece of parkland that's actually owned by Parks.
Parks.
It's not developed.
Mm-hmm.
But part of this big project is converting that and then building the connection from Garrison, you know, up under the Bruckner to Concrete, and then there's going to be on-street bike lanes.
Bike lanes
directly
as
down
well.
Hunts Point.
Yeah.
Right now we're in the brackish water. This is where the salt water meets the fresh water. So the salt water coming from the Long Island Sound and the East River, all that salt starts to come in once the tides shift, and all that fresh water from up above starts to mix in here. And that's where you get all the different tides and stuff coming in. That's the difference between fresh water and brackish water.
Hunts Point was always a really industrial area that was just like major industry and people's houses.
So we're now getting towards the most southern end of the river, towards the river's mouth. And this is where it gets a little bit more industrial, where there's still a lot of industrial land uses. So you see the cement company over here, there's a couple scrap metal yards, and even when we get further south, you'll see the Hunts Point Terminal Market, which is one of the largest produce and food markets that comes into New York City.
The world's largest food terminal is literally right here in Hunts Point, and yet somehow most of its residents can't get access to fresh fruits and vegetables. In the neighborhood and community that has the largest food insecurity, the poorest congressional district in the nation, and food deserts.
It's really interesting when you're paddling the river to kind of see the different sections, different land uses. On the Greenway you see it too. And that's why I always recommend people doing the Boogie at the Bronx River Bike Tour, because it's just this amazing, you know, I guess different windows into all these different land uses, all these different neighborhoods, and how the river has been transformed, what work has been done, and what work is still left to do. And so the Boogie at the Bronx River Bike Ride is our annual full Greenway bike ride. We start off in Soundview Park at the base of the Greenway, and we go all the way up to the Kensico Dam in Westchester and back for a full 46 miles. 1, 2, 3, push! There you go, 1, 2, 3, push! You got it. 1, 2, 3, push! 1, 2, 3, push!
All right. You're over.
Yeah.
I was like, who's that with?
Hi guys, it's Maggie again. I hope you enjoyed that tour of the estuary. Don't we have some amazing projects underway on the river? These projects are transforming what were abandoned, polluted industrial lots into beautiful parks and trails for our communities in the Bronx. Communities who need these spaces today more than ever. We can use your support to help us complete the Bronx River Greenway as a continuous series of parks and trails along the river. So please click on the link in the description in the chat and show your support. It's support from people like you that powers all of our work on the Bronx River. Thank you so much. Stay safe, and I'll see you again soon.